What is this garbage you're watching? I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Testing. Oh, look at me. And beautiful. Heck yeah, guys. What's going on, guys? How we doing? This necklace too. But hey, we got some good stuff coming on tonight. Hey guys, how you doing? Yes, I hate this fucking camera. I gotta tilt the laptop to get it in my fucking direction. Well, anyway, guys, what are we going to do tonight? Well, I can already tell you what we're going to fucking do tonight, okay? What we're going to do tonight is we're going to have us a good old time at the expense of good old Hollywood. And Hollywood definitely is one of those places I just love and love and love to hate. Why does that look kind of weird in the camera? Oh, I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, greetings. Good evening, Happy New Year, whatever you want to call it. Last week, we went into the woods last week, guys. And, we went into the woods and had us a good old time at the expense of a lot of people. But, 5 friends arrived at an isolated cabin, looking for a quiet getaway. I hate this damn thing. Instead, they found a tape recorder. A tape recorder, guys. And that tape recorder basically told them, don't read this, don't do this, but the hell, they did it anyway. Also an ancient book, and they played words that never should have spoken aloud, guys. One by one, evil took them. Ooh. Cheryl, Shelley, Scotty, Linda, until only one person was left standing, and that is Ash Williams. And when the sun finally came up, Ash walked outside, believed the nightmare was fucking over, and then something came tearing through the woods, and that's when the movie ended. Tonight, the evil's back tonight, guys. But something's changed. Because 6 years after Sam Raimi introduced, audiences, to that cabin, I hate this goddamn thing. Audiences to that cabin, he returned to it. And Bruce Campbell returned with him, and instead of just simply trying to recreate what they had already done, they completely lost their goddamn minds and did something completely different. So tonight, Evil Dead 2 is upon us, guys. A movie that somehow manages to be horrifying, hilarious, violent, and ridiculous. And brilliant. Sometimes within the same damn scene. Last week, we watched pretty much a young Sam Raimi trying to make the biggest movie he possibly could, and with almost nothing. They really had a shit budget, you know. But tonight, more money, more experience, more resources, and apparently absolutely nobody around willing to tell him to calm the hell down. Okay? The camera gets crazier, the effects get bigger, the blood gets more ridiculous, the comedy goes, you know, basically roaring into the franchise. Okay? And the Deadites get even nastier. And Bruce Campbell gets the opportunity to show exactly what kind of performer he really is. Because last week, basically he was, you know, I tell you what. I made something very clear last week. Ash Williams, we met in The Evil Dead, is not yet the Ash Williams everybody remembers. There was no chainsaw hand. There was no shotgun over his shoulder. There was no swagger, no groovy. Ash was scared. He hesitated. He watched everybody around him disappear. And when one morning came, he was basically standing barely. He survived the night like some kind of victorious hero, but he looked like a man that had somehow just basically survived hell. That's all he survived. So that was 81. Tonight, we jump forward 6 years to 87. Okay? We watch him change because Evil Dead 2 is where the transformation really happens. And this is where Bruce Campbell stops simply being the last survivor of the Evil Dead and begins becoming one of the most recognizable heroes in horror history. But he is going to have to suffer for it a lot. Ash is going to be beaten, thrown around, possessed, covered in blood, driven insane, attacked by the cabin, Deadite's girlfriend, and eventually attacked by his own damn hand. And somewhere in the middle of all that madness, something happens. He stops running, he stops simply reacting, he starts fighting back, and the hand comes off, the chainsaw goes on, shotgun comes out, and Ash Williams begins becoming Ash Williams. But that isn't the only transformation happening tonight. You know, we have the entire franchise change. Because Evil Dead 2 doesn't simply give us more of what we saw last week. It takes horror, slapstick, physical comedy, creatures, stop motion, blood, and insanity and throws it all into the blender and spills it out in this cabin and somehow makes it work. And over the course of tonight, we're going to find out why. Because everything got increased, everything got upped. The evolution of Ash Williams, increased budget, all that. All of that is coming tonight. Okay, new characters, new stuff going on. And of course, a portal. The ending that sends this franchise somewhere absolutely nobody watching The Evil Dead could have predicted. Then, when everything's been said and done, Evil Dead 2 faces the same judgment as every movie that comes through here, guys. Something new I've basically been doing. There's no free passes here. No automatic perfect score because it's a cult classic. No extra points. I judge the movie. And when the numbers are finished, I'll give Evil Dead 2 its official fearless score. Last week, Evil found Ash Williams. Tonight, Ash Williams starts fighting back. So turn down the lights, turn up the volume, and keep it close, guys, because let's begin. Okay? Let me turn this goddamn this table is supposed to be closer to me. Wow, how about that? It's stupid goddamn sun outside. Why is it that it's 7? You know what the thing I hate about summer? I gotta work back on this brim. Is that during the summertime, the fucking goddamn sun loves to stay out. Why? I don't know. It's one of those things I fucking hate. Okay? Anyway. Takes some getting used to. Okay? So basically what we got now is we had basically what's called the cold open, guys, where I explain some things to you, and it's called By All Reasonable Logic. There probably shouldn't have been an Evil Dead 2. Hell, by all reasonable logic, there shouldn't even been an Evil Dead 1. Last week we talked about what Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell and Robert Tabbert and everybody involved had to go through just to get what the first movie made. They weren't established Hollywood filmmakers. They didn't have a major studio handing them millions of dollars. They raised money wherever they could find it. They found an isolated cabin in Tennessee. They froze. They bled. They improvised. They built equipment. They created effects with whatever resources were available. Actors left. Production stretched on. Money became a constant problem. And somehow, against damn near every obstacle imaginable, they finished the movie. Then came another problem. Okay? That problem was getting anybody to watch it. But slowly, it just refused to die. Stephen King saw it. He loved it. The video Nasty Era in Britain made the movie notorious. And gradually, a little horror movie made by a group of young filmmakers found an audience. Okay, and that's pretty much what we got to. So they wanted to, they weren't talking about doing Evil Dead 2 right away. Sam Raimi decided to do Crime Wave, which I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But it wasn't exactly a big hit. Bruce Campbell, Robert Tabbert was involved. It didn't go according to plan. The experience was difficult. The movie struggled. And the momentum, Raimi, might have expected after the Evil Dead wasn't, suddenly carrying him straight into Hollywood. But he had to go back to the cabin, back to the book, the Deadeyes, Ash Williams, all that, and expect this time things were different. They had already proven themselves, okay? And they knew the Evil Dead existed. It had an audience. People knew the movie, and most importantly, somebody was willing to pop money into their hands for this, okay? So somebody was willing to put all that up for them. Sam Raimi could do things he simply couldn't afford to do the first time. More elaborate effects, more complicated camera work, more creature designs, more technical resources, a larger production. And here's what I love about it. More money. Did not make Sam Raimi safer. It didn't make Sam Raimi safer. And that's one of the things I liked about it. But something entered into the equation, comedy. Some more comedy entered into it. Basically it's physical comedy, a little slapstick. Three Stooges style. Unfortunately for me, even though Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, it started to make the franchise more like that. That's why I wasn't a huge fan of the TV show when it came out. That and the fact that Bruce Campbell couldn't have gotten into shape, for the role. I mean, you're being paid all this fucking money. Get your ass into fucking shape, dipshit. So that's pretty much all that goes. Cabin stops feeling dangerous. And, a little bit of a parody. The entire thing, kind of collapses in that instant. And instead, Raimi discovers something. Horror and comedy are closer together than they sometimes appear. Okay. Then bang. The difference is whether you scream or laugh. And that becomes Evil Dead. And the reason why Evil Dead 2 was unable to directly follow Evil Dead 1, some of you are going to be watching this and thinking, how come it didn't follow by that time? The reason why it didn't follow, guys, is because of the fact that, the rights. They didn't have the rights, and they couldn't necessarily do everything they wanted to do. But that's why they started it over, and that's why we got here. Okay? This is where the Evil Dead becomes something nobody could have predicted. Okay? And that's the bottom line. You always have to be careful, guys, when it comes down to, what, you can expect or what you can kind of pull out. Okay? So, for those of you out there that can't wait anymore, I'm going to give it to you right now, guys. In all its luster glory. Turn down the lights, lock the doors, and if something starts laughing inside this room, do yourself a favor. Don't laugh with it. Okay? Do not laugh with it. Hold on a second. Let me find this goddamn thing. Every damn time. I always have it, and then it's gone. Okay, so it's time to go inside, guys. Evil Dead 2 is upon us. Yeah, that is and always will be Evil Dead 2 classic. So what am I going to do now? Well, I tell you what I'm going to do now. We going to judge this bad boy. And it's going to be a good judge because let me tell you something. I have an opinion and it's my opinion, and my opinion matters very, 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 very good. And I know what I can do. Last week's, what did we have the Evil Dead for last week? It was a very close score. I think it was like 9.7, if I'm not mistaken. That's almost reaching it right there. So let's go ahead and judge this bad boy, because I tell you what, this is definitely one of those ones that, it is a classic. Classic. These bad boys go through the portal and through the woods to grandma's house. Oh, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. So, what am I going to give this bad boy? Well, to be honest with you, it's just one hell of a ride. And I couldn't tell you right now what, when, or why any of this stuff could really, I don't know. But anyway, I give the overall script a 10 out of 10 because it's definitely one of the best horror scripts there is. I don't think there's a horror script that's basically, there's very few of them, especially in this day and age. They took you for a ride. And there was a reason why the whole goddamn poster said, "Kiss your nerves goodbye." That's what it was. Okay. So overall, that's kind of what we ended up doing. What we ended up doing with, the overall, scoring of the script. The script was it was really good. It wasn't bad. So what are we going to do now? Gone back to the cabin. Ash was attacked by his own hand. Watched the Deadites returned. And we watched Bruce Campbell get beaten, covered in blood, driven insane, turn into one of them. And eventually Ash became. So we're going to give that story and concept. We'll give that a 9.5 out of 10. Surviving until morning, of course. That's one of the main things that this whole thing went. But understanding why it happened doesn't make it any less confusing when you first watch these movies back to back, Now we know why they had to recreate the events of the first movie rather than simply reuse its footage. Okay. So I kind of give that basically a 9 point. I give it a 9.5. Direction, you got a 10 out of 10. Sam Raimi did a great job, of course, with the direction, the timing, and the overall, so you want to bring that up into a 10 out of 10 as well. Bruce Campbell, did a great job with this. So I give him a 10. Ash Williams, a 10 out of 10. Okay. And of course, I can give Ash himself 10. Because this is a movie where the character arrives, not immediately. Groovy, and there it is. Supporting cast and characters, 9 out of 10. Annie J, and all of them basically, they all serve the purpose. They all serve the movie, and they, did what they could. The Deadites in, Henrietta, 10 out of 10. The Deadites are bigger, stranger, and of course more grotesque. Practical effects, 10 out of 10. Animation, Henrietta's, overall will definitely, get you up there to a 10 out of 10. And they have a personality. Importantly, they're fun. Horror and comedy, basically I give that a 10 out of 10. It might be the hardest thing Evil Dead 2 attempts because these two things could have destroyed each other. Too funny, the horror stops working. Too horrific, the slapstick feels completely out of place. Then turn around and give me Henrietta crawling out of the cellar. Boom. Works. Pacing, rewatchability, 10 out of 10. Get in, raise hell, get out. That's pretty much what it is. Legacy and overall impact, 10 out of 10. This movie came out in 1987. So it was getting up there, and the horror genre was getting ready to take a hit in 90. You know, the whole thing was coming. It cannot measure, personality. It cannot measure, imagination. And sure as hell cannot measure what happens when Sam Raimi points a camera at Bruce Campbell. There are imperfections. The opening credits, the opening, well, not really opening credits. The opening creates a continuity confusion. The supporting characters aren't especially deep. And if you're looking for pure horror, it's still believed that Evil Dead is a scarier movie. But Evil Dead 2 isn't trying to beat the Evil Dead at being the Evil Dead. It does something much more interesting. It evolves. The first movie is more horror-based. And the second movie gives that nightmare a personality. And somewhere inside all that blood, slapstick, possessed furniture, severed body parts, and complete insanity, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell created something damn near perfect. So my official Fearless score for the Evil Dead 2 is 9.9 out of 10. That's like right on the edge of the 0.1. Hardly any movie. I could give you one movie that will be the 10 out of 10, but not quite yet. Last week, The Evil Dead earned a 9.7. Tonight, 9.9 for Evil Dead 2, 1/10 away from perfection. And I don't give a score like that lightly, guys. And this isn't a 9.9 because Evil Dead 2 is famous. It's given a 9.9 because Ash Williams became an icon? No. It isn't a 9.9 because we're supposed to respect it as some sacred horror classic. It's a 9.9 because I can sit down today, almost 40 years after it was released, press play, and this crazy bastard still works. It's funny, disgusting, creative, fast, completely original, and above everything else, it's entertaining as hell. Evil Dead 2, 9.9 out of 10. Boom. Damn near perfect and absolutely fearless. So, and with that, our second trip into the woods is over. Last week we watched The Evil Dead. Young filmmakers did what they had to do. Fearless score 9.7. Tonight, 9.9 with more resources. And there's something else that had happened between these two movies. We watched a character being created, of course. So, what do we got now? Ash was taken to the hell and he basically came back. Or did he? Because next week we get Army of Darkness. And if the Evil Dead showed us Ash the Survivor, Evil Dead 2 gave us Ash the Fighter. Next week we get Ash the Legend. So until then, I am Charles Sherrod Jr. I don't have my hat because I gotta get my hair cut because I can't stand wearing that hat without my goddamn haircut. This has been The Dive, guys. And remember, there belongs to the Fearless right here. Good night. And one last thing. Have groovy times. Good night.
The Dive with Charles Sherrod Jr. Live every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Rumble. The air belongs to the Fearless.